does Rancid even qualify as a ska-punk band? I know we touched on it last week, and I've been thinking about it a lot. I think kind of what we both said are equally true, and I never considered that somebody might think of them as a ska band. And you were like, nah, people would think of them as a ska band. And so I did some like Googling, like top ska bands, most ska bands, complete ska band list. They were on every single list, and it blew my mind.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that was my point, is that I think in terms of popular music, their contribution to popular music is that of ska, punk, and ska. Whereas their contribution to punk is obviously, that's the Op Ivy thing, right? Because Rancid is also birthed off of Op Ivy the same way that all these other bands we're going to talk about is. They're one of the other bands. They just kind of happen to have it in there, and they don't start out as a ska band, as we sort of had the revelation on this, and what's not till their second or the third album where they incorporated that into it. Now,
but see, you even tripped up because you said second album almost, and they don't have any ska on that record, even though but see, like,
right.
My issue with it's not really like an issue, but like my thought on it is that if you look at the bookends and you take Rancid 1993 and Tomorrow Never Comes, neither album has a single ska beat in it. And that's where I'm like, dude, they're not really a ska band. Like even I don't even consider them like a ska punk band. They're a punk rock band. But it's interesting because I really do think that there's a conversation there, even though my opinion is that no, they're not. The first time I ever heard them was in fact a ska song.
But it's also they're very hard to pinpoint generically, because like I think of them in like with all my other bands, they're hanging with Pennywise and NoFX, which they have on tour and are very much peers of those and on the same label. But at the same time, they're hanging out with the Agrolites and the Slackers and the Toasters and all that, and they fit in with both, but are not really a part of either in that same kind of way. Like it's even say what kind of genre of music is Rancid, and like it's Rancid. They've almost become that. Yeah.
Well, it's extremely contradicting on my part because I'm literally going, they're not a ska band, but I was laying on the floor listening to the radio and Time Bomb came on, and that was the first time I ever heard them. So like, okay, Randall, they're not a ska band, buddy. Like, because it's so strange. But there's a magazine article that I would give anything to have right now. It was a Rancid cover. I think it might have been Alternative Press. I can't remember, man. But it said it was a black and white photo of them, and they were kind of squatted down, and Tim was wearing a suit, and he had his Liberty Spike mohawk, and it said, "Punk gets sca'd for life." Mm-hmm. Do you remember that?
Yes. I've Googled that 1,000 times and never acquired it.
That's my favorite like magazine article. That's the one that I held near and dear to my heart. That's my favorite photograph of them. I loved that. I'll get it again at some point when I figure out what it was on. If anybody's watching this that knows, please tell me what magazine and issue that was so that I could overpay for it on eBay. Well, if you want to donate one to the cause, hit your boy up. Let me know.
Please send them over. And real quickly on this, when you think about those, like think about the parody that became of ska, right? In the late 90s when everyone kind of hates it and it becomes uncool and all of that. When you look at all those big out, they're making fun of like Rancid and all those other bands with it. Whenever you see Rancid being interviewed on MTV from Matt Pinfield, there's like 2 questions about punk. Everything else is ska related. And that's why I truly believe, like I said, according to mainstream music, they were a ska band. It's like their peak though. If we say Out Come the Wolves is their peak, then it's their most, I don't know. You might say Life on Wait's their most ska album. I think that it was beyond ska, but
I was going to say Life on Wait, but
yeah. But but look at they're really big
right next to each other.
And that's the musical wave that they're riding along with the wave of Dookie. So they're kind of riding Dookie and like No Doubt almost at the same time, and they're kind of the only band they're one of the few bands, and we're going to talk about actually a few others that can cross that plane so seamlessly. And again, it's why they are who they are.